Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you very much for joining me here today. We're going to take a look at Super, and just before we do, we take a quick peek at Bitcoin, see what's going on, because it's definitely making some moves. Also note, if you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, just been trading for a very long time, and I love helping people become better traders and just teaching other people how to be more self-sufficient, right? So hopefully you can learn a thing or two here today. If you'd like kind of a leg up, so to speak, or maybe a little bit more one-on-one attention, for lack of better terms, I do have, of course, a trading community / signal group where I send out signals for every single trade that I take. But more important, you get a chance to spend time, hopefully, with the community and learn as much as you possibly can. So that's the whole point of that. So check that out in your own time. Link in the description below. The price is increasing next month, so I would recommend locking in your rates soon. But taking a look here at Bitcoin, first of all, awesome stuff, right? We got 66,000 as the price is kind of just hanging out right there. Now, granted, that was a previous resistance level, hasn't broken that past yet. If we can get the one-day candlestick to close here in 3 hours above that line, we're going to be able to consider that likely a support level. Now, granted, 67,000 was technically the high, so we've got this still a little resistance zone, if you will, between 66 and 67. Okay, so technically we want to see the one-day candlestick close above 67, but that's essentially where we're at. But all in all, very, very good shape here for Bitcoin. Now let's take a look at Super. As you can tell, it is kind of living up to its name right now, at least in the last, 10 days of trading, somewhere there. And first thing first, I noticed this right away, and we'll go ahead and look at everything else, of course, but generally speaking, TD sequential, you can see how many days of exhaustion we've reached, right? We are now in overtime. So best case scenario, we might see 2 more days of bullish momentum before we see a retracement. My speculation is it might happen sooner, but we don't know just yet. We'll look at support and resistance levels based on Fibonacci, see kind of where we're at. We can actually take a look at this real quick too. Where's the volume profile in the last, just say, week of trading? So we got the most amount of volume right in the center point there. Yep, I'm sure Fibonacci will kind of line up with that, about $1.33. But generally speaking, we're looking to be at a somewhat of an exhaustive state, for lack of better terms, at least on the one-day candlestick, right? The short term might tell us some other different story, but based on what I see here so far, it is on the extended side, and that basically just means that we should expect a retracement in the next, 2 to 4 days, possibly even sooner, just based on that sentiment alone, right? Again, that's not foolproof, but RSI is extremely high. It's definitely past that standard deviation line, if you will. All right, let's take a look at the 4 hour, see what's going on here. 4 hour chart tells us quite a few things, but the simple moving average is moving up with the price. That's pretty standard. I do like that we have short periods of consolidation here. I mean, you look at this, that's a nice little consolidation period. That's almost a full, full day and a half. And then, of course, it shot up, retraced down to the lower Fibonacci lines, and continued upwards. So this isn't a bad pattern, honestly. This is actually very healthy in the grand scheme of a traditional bull run, right? So this has actually got very good qualities there. I don't see any bearish signs at all, except for the simple fact that it is overextended, and the likelihood of it continuing much further right away is kind of low, just based on the overall sense of things. But this is not terrible at all. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take a quick look at the 1 hour, and we'll go back to Fibonacci on the 4 hour. And just a quick peek here, of course, at the Ishimoku cloud. You can see it kind of keeps, for the most part, the cloud is effectively holding as a support level. There we go, look at a nice support here. It did dip down below here, but it quickly recovered, and the same thing here as well. So there's just a slight deviation between the actual cloud lines and the current price action, depending on where it's progressing. So that's a very good sign that kind of just reaffirms the fact that we're still in that bullish, momentous trend. Okay, so depending on how the price action responds to this next level will kind of help us understand what's going on. But as you can tell, about 3 to 4 hours into the cloud, it'll bounce back. So if we have another example right now, just say, for example, the price eventually comes down underneath the cloud. If it can survive and start coming back up within about 3 to 4 hours, that might be a good consideration to add to your position, right? Just based on the fact that it's done that 2 times in a row over the last, 3 or 4 trading days. So awesome stuff. Okay, so cool. Yeah, I like that. Let's see where TD sequential is at. We're at a 9 right now too, so hypothetically we shouldn't experience much more growth. This is definitely at a point where it should turn around. If you can see here, this is a prime example of how TD sequential works. Look at this 9 here. We got up to a 9 in this past little run. It comes back down, consolidated about 2/3 of the way down, dipped, and came back up. So hypothetically, we could see a very similar scenario here where the price would retrace, right? Maybe retrace, come down here, bounce off the cloud, and then once it reaches a period of nice consolidation, it could leg up and make higher highs and potentially higher lows, right? So that's just generally what we're looking at there. But here's another takeaway too. Keep this in mind. There's another healthy bull run, right? We got a higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and higher high, right? So if we can continue that trend, then we're going to be in good shape. The key takeaway here is that as soon as we start making lower lows, then we have a problem where we might see a continuation to the downside. Okay, so just something to consider, but that's kind of what we're looking at. The last thing we want to look at is Fibonacci retracement. We'll look at it in the shorter time frame, and then we'll go maybe perhaps with a bigger time frame. So we'll just go ahead and pull it up right here based on the more recent trading days. So I would say about like about 2 trading days. So in the last 2 trading days, just say this continues the way that it's going, right? And we go past that state of exhaustion. It doesn't even care about that. It just keeps going. We're going to maybe see around $2.80 as a best case scenario. I don't think it'll get there personally. I think sometime between here and there, it will start to retrace just based on the 1-day candlesticks kind of telling us that we've reached that exhaustive state, right? So there's that. Let's go ahead and draw out some support and resistance levels. Just be on the safe side here, so we have it for future. We're going to go with the major ones, 1.618. We'll do 272, and kind of see where that treats us. All right. Furthermore, we'll go ahead and mark the support levels, because as you can see, when it makes higher highs and higher lows, it's basically going up and it comes right back down to the second lowest Fibonacci retracement. So it comes all the way down to 2.236. So at this rate, if the price were to kind of just say top out right here, we could see it come down, go right down to 382, and then back up for higher highs, right? That could very well happen. So again, best case scenario, we're looking at about $2.80 in the next, just say 3 trading days. If it does get to that point, I would highly recommend considering selling your position or trimming, just based on the fact that it's going to be inevitable for it to come back down. The only reason why I think there's a chance we might see 2 more trading days here is the fact that with when it comes to TD sequential, right? In most cases, when the price gets up to a 9, it'll retrace. But oftentimes when it goes into that overtime state, right, that exhaustive state where it's at right now, it'll go at least 3 to 4 candlesticks further and then retrace, at least on a strong bullish trend, right? Now this has a healthy bullish trend so far, so I like that. And that basically just means that there could very well be another continuation to the higher side, right? So I think, for lack of better terms, we might see somewhere in the range of maybe just say 220 to 240 in the near future before it comes back down. But generally speaking, yeah, it's definitely overextended. And we're looking at an exhaustive state here. But if we get any more push to the upside, it'll be what, maybe 2 more candlesticks. So I'd say 48 hours max is what we have left in this run. If it were to come back down, it'll probably come down to the next major support level, somewhere around 157. We can see it spent a lot of time based on the volume profile range. What was it? It was around 133. Is that what it was? Yeah, right about 137. So we'll just go ahead and mark that as well. Okay, that's generally what we're looking at. All right, so all in all, still in pretty good shape, still bullish, so to speak, but just keep in mind, if nothing else, within the next 2 trading days, it should retrace to the next closest Fibonacci retracement line. I would say the lowest point we'll see is 133 with a secondary option of 157. And then, of course, when it comes to the price increase, best case scenario would be 280 in this immediate future, but we're going to just need to take a look at this again later, right? So thank you to my patrons for requesting I cover this. Thank you, Patricia. Feel free to ask me again here in a couple of days to take a look at this again, and I'll be able to we can reevaluate, so to speak, based on its potential retracement. But I do feel, in general, it should come back down soon, just based on this being super strong, a strong push-up. But we also need to understand and recognize the fact that this thing does have tremendous potential, right? I mean, we look at the all-time high. It's right up there at about 475. So, a position around $2, you could effectively 2x this coin by year end. I think that's very likely. But the key takeaway is here that we have some pretty strong resistance levels, somewhere in the range of 270 to 280. That was a previous high that was closed on the 1-day candlestick. So big picture, set your stop losses, of course, adjust them accordingly in the sense of making sure that it's just below the next major support level. But on the same accord, something like this, I mean, it's taken flight, right? So some cases you don't even need a stop loss because it's just going to continue upwards regardless. I mean, I would not be surprised if this one just hits 280 and keeps going. It's just based on its momentum and the way some coins are just taking off recently. So hopefully this didn't provide more questions than answers. We'll just take another look at it again here soon. But for now, definitely in good shape. I would just expect some kind of retracement / consolidation in between the 158 and the $2 range right now. and then we'll take it from there. We'll take another look at it here soon. So thanks for joining me here. If you're not currently a patron, check that out, of course. Feel free to message me if you have any questions regarding that. I also have an instructive video somewhere around here to help you understand what that looks like. Thanks again for your time. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.